there have been several different artists. I think the first one I can remember was Gustav Klimt. I was so taken with his silver and gold paintings, and I think that the quilt speaks to a Klimt influence, the beauty of it. And then after Klimt, I became more interested in Hundertwasser. His work was more free and moved around more. And then when I studied Hundertwasser, I found out that he had studied Klimt. And so this happens. We Americans think this is wrong to copy another artist, that we must be original, right? We're Americans, you know. Well, we're not. We try, but we're just not. And we would do well to know that and study the masters and take that on too. So that's been my practice and that's been my teaching. And so we look for masters that are working like we're working to get to understand them, their way of going about doing sculpture or a painting. So that's what I mean by style, is understanding your style and deepening it and finding out how did that artist do what it is that they're doing. How did they go about that? How did they build that? And in the Chinese, who are way ahead of us on this subject, we'll have the student copy a master, copy it until they've copied it so perfectly that they may sign their own name on it. That's what it takes. And then if you're going to run for a public office, you must do a painting and play an instrument and be able to write a poem. That's the requirement. So that sense of learning by copying and understanding that there's a deep process that's been going on for a long time in a particular way that an artist works. So those are the three major things that I want to get across, is understanding that you're in this process. Like it or not, you can't get out of it. You're in it. You know, at some place, sometime you said, I want to, and that's it. That's your statement of intention. You said it. And if you keep saying, I want to, and then you say, I don't know, I'm stuck. You do it. You do it, and then you start gathering. You know, what is it that I want to know more about? And that's when I like to make a collage. It's not just one collage, it's about the apple. I do it for a while, and then, oh, how does that apple feel about that shot going through it? And then we do it, we connect the dots, and we do the poem, or the piece of music, or the dance, or the sculpture, or the painting. And then we reflect on it. And that's a very important part that we don't take enough time to stop and reflect on what just happened. And I think that's when I begin to make the connections about what's going on socially, politically. This that I thought was about me, this is going on right now. And then the final validation of showing the work, and that's what this show is about, is the final show it. We want to. It's in us to want to show it. The peacock wants to show it. The birds want to show it. They sing. It's a natural part of the human process to want to show it. So when you walk around the gallery here, you can look for that, the work of art, and where did this person get this idea? You'll see it in the collage, and then maybe in a maquette, and then maybe in a final piece that they've done, or in a painting that they did, and then here's the piece that they did. And there's something about taking that from, the collage is very two-dimensional, but then it becomes deeper, more perspective as you paint it. But then when you go to 3 dimension, something is happening to our brains. I don't know what. If somebody needs a PhD dissertation, think about this. Maybe it's already been done. But that, to go to understanding three-dimensionally, because we're looking at the computer, we're looking at two-dimensional all the time. And if we can begin to deepen our ability, or deepen our perspective in our brain, that's what sculpture does. When you're working on it, your hands are working all the time. Behind it, under it, there's a three-dimensional thing going on. And I recall Carl Jung saying, it doesn't matter if you don't if you don't reflect on what is this piece about. It's happening anyway. Just to do it makes a difference. Any questions about all of this? It's a lot of information to be putting out like this, but look at the energy that has come up as a result of what everybody's been doing, and it's work.
Coeleen, could you talk about when you first start with the collage and as you progress over the years, like many of your students have, what is the outcome of that?
It just gets much deeper, especially because we're feeding the collective unconscious while we're doing that. So the collective unconscious is out of balance now. And but we're feeding it with beauty and art and consciousness. So doing it, even just gathering now around this subject of creativity, we're feeding that collective. So I think that that's a way to say a social outcome, a political outcome, and then for the individual. And I'd like to hear from some of you, what has doing collage done for some of you who have done it? What can you offer? Yes, Maya.
I'm sorry, I'm hiding back here, but one of my
Speak
friends.
up, because there's people in there.
Yeah. I have a girlfriend that's newly introduced to it, and she says it's like reading the tea leaves. And I know that I'm dealing with I'm working with a group of women, mostly in their 40s or in that like midlife change, and they literally don't know what they want to do next.
Yeah.
And this collage is the first time that many of them have experienced an aha moment for themselves, and they just didn't even know that was possible.
Yes.
So, you can do therapy, you can do all these things, but all these ladies want are some answers, and that's what the collage is doing.
A way to go for it within themselves, because the difference between the tea leaves and the collage, is that it's about themselves.
Yeah.
In the tea leaves, we're looking for direction and affirmation, that we're doing the right thing or an answer to a question. But when you're doing the collage, you're bringing up your own material. It's your own voice that's coming up, and that's empowering. And when people feel stuck midlife. When Carl Jung came here, and he came here many times, and Princeton was his favorite place to teach and give lectures. But after being here for a while, he said the Americans, he was very concerned about the American women working so hard to please the American male in terms of their makeup, their dress, their presentation of themselves. That concerned him. And the amount of attention that has been given to materialism and power. And he said if America continues emphasizing these two values, power and materialism, they'll end up electing businessmen to run it. This is in 1938. So, and he said he will be a Wotan from Eastern Europe.
Blonde, blue-eyed.
Blonde and blue-eyed, yes. A long time ago. So that's our shadow. That's us. That's us. And so neglecting this other, I feel like there's half of us. We're only half there. We're not. There's this huge part of us, the unconscious. It's huge. Yeah. Hey.
So could you talk more about the relationship between the individual unconscious and the collective unconscious? And Mary Alice and I were talking about this the other day, and we said we better have Coeleen explain it. So.
Yes, okay, yeah. It's like, here's the psyche, and here's our consciousness up here. This is what we're conscious of, and this much of it we're not conscious of. And I leave that open on the bottom because it's this much, it keeps going. So then we have the personal unconscious first, and that's our dreaming life. It's about us personally. I am in my dreams, and it's the things that I think about: driving the car, listening to music, walking in the garden, the fantasies. It's all of that level that comes in, and then that can go down into the collective, and you can ask for that to go down into the collective. The collective, we are born with it. It's in our DNA. It has all the encyclopedias in the world in it. There's a Jungian theory about this, is that in the personal, I have certain complexes. I have a complex that you might label feminist. The collective unconscious is looking for somebody who has a complex of feminism and goes, bang, you've been tapped. You're going to work on this, Coeleen. And I start doing apples. Now that might be too big a stretch for most of us. I'll tell you, it's a big one for me. But it finds the person that it needs to talk about what it wants to talk about. But if we don't give it attention, it can't talk about it. And so the news media, don't blame the news media. They just talk about what they hear and see. And they did it. There was a time in which I was very upset about so much attention being given to the Republicans and not enough to the Democrats. And now it's a whole different, that's what was going on. It wasn't their choice. They were reporting what was coming up. And we are out of balance. And we're out of balance as creative Homo sapiens. But it's there. It's there. And it's our time now to develop that as Homo sapiens, to come up with a creative idea to save the planet. And where's the creative idea going to come from? It's not from the businessman. Not likely. So I hope that explains that personal unconscious and that collective unconscious. It's that first level of the unconscious,
How would I know that I've tapped into the collective unconscious rather than getting stuck in my personal unconscious? What would be the signs of that?
I think it takes some chutzpah, some trust in the process that it's worth my while to go after this, because there might be something there. So I think it's wanting to know, and well, I think that's a good way to put it, wanting to know. Wanting to know what that connection is. And there's a lot of pressure in our culture to not want to know. The bad rap of Lilith, or the bad rap of psychology. Psychology is a very new science. It's not even 100 years old. It's very new. We're just learning to make those connections. Yeah, Naya.
I am, since this show might be the first time some of you have seen it, but many of us have been here a lot. And I know you've taken some time to take it all in. How are you feeling or interpreting the collective consciousness of the show? How are you feeling about the show altogether now that you've spent time and it's been up for a couple weeks?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. There's an excitement that this work is up and out, and seeing everybody's work like this, seeing my own work like this, is so wonderful with a bright light on it. And but I came here day before yesterday to spend some time just alone here. I thought, what is the collective saying here? The individual voices you can see, just to say, Faye, that you can see the leap that somebody has taken in their work. When you look at their collage, and then they've said, "Oh, that one," and then they take it further. So that's the personal unconscious. But then the collective wanted to know, what is it that's being said here by the collective? And a gentleman came in while I was sitting here. I was looking at Margarita's what do you call it?
PowerPoint.
Thank you. Looking at Margarita's PowerPoint, which is very good. And a gentleman came into the room and seemed to be enjoying the show. And so I said, when you came in here, could you tell that this show was done by women? Oh, yes, he said. Definitely. I wonder if the men here, there's Diane and John back there. John, would you say that you had known this show was done by women when you came in? You think so, yes. Why?
Because it's about personal expression at the core of it. Whereas a male exhibition, I think, would be more geared towards an audience.
Mm-hmm. Ah.
Oh, interesting.
Very interesting.
Very
Yes,
interesting.
yeah. What would you say?
Speaking for men
Thank you,
everywhere.
John.
Speaking for all men.
Why would I have said that it's all women?
Yeah.
Just the spirit of it. That's all I can say. There's a softness, there's a honesty, there's a real sensitivity. Anyway.
It's nice to hear.
I would go to all the other things that you were talking about that are more masculine in terms of how much it takes to produce this amazing work, and to get a technique together, and to be able to express that. But there's the other rest of it is just it's women.
Yeah. How does it sound to hear that?
To me?
Yes, let's hear from another man.
Yes, I agree. When I came in, a number of things. One, the lack of straight lines. Everything is round. Not everything, but there's a general roundness to everything. It appeals to my, lizard brain.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be that you like male work better than female work or any of that. Also, but just that the voices are different, and maybe they're not. Maybe it feels more unique to see the work like this when you're used to seeing gallery work with men and such, right? But what's interesting is if you adjust that a little bit, men do images of women also, but it's just the male gaze,
Yeah.
right? It's not that men do men imagery,
Yeah.
but that it's maybe, to take it maybe pejoratively, it's objectifying many times, right? And I'm not talking from male guilt or anything here. I'm joking. But I think that would be, a unique thing for the public to see the female gaze on female, the female vocabulary. I think would stand out.
I think this is the female gaze.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is.
And that's what makes it separate. And that's what makes it different. I think that we get too used to saying, well, that's bad or that's good. oh, the patriarchy or this or that. But is it just a healthy conversation? And how is it not a healthy conversation? And how is this exhibition an exciting opportunity to have a different healthy conversation?
Yeah. Yes, Kat.
I have a hard time putting all this into words. I met Coeleen 34 years ago, and I walked onto her property, and I was changed. And I have been there. I'm a longtime acupuncturist and very busy, and I wanted one day for clay, and I met Coeleen. And through all of these years, I can't tell you how many facets of my being I've explored through collage and just going into these worlds that interest, that resonate, that teach me, that open me up. Every image I follow, when I look at these collages that I did a long time ago, there's similar images now that have been with me. They become friends. I can't tell you the effect, psychologically and as a spiritual being, evolving myself this lifetime, how impactful this has been. And it is hard work. It is really hard work. It's hard to fire. It's hard to have the right glaze. There's so much that has strengthened me. And I mean, just an example is if you see my work in there, there's me and my panther. I wanted to learn deeply when I felt into what's occurring, especially in Ukraine, and the seat of so much beauty and ritual and the agrarian society, and it just stimulated me. And then all of a sudden we were making Venuses in the studio, and all this Venus energy came in, and the quilt heated up, and I wanted to know about women, the oldest women. And so I searched, and that's another thing Coeleen really encourages us, is to go deeper and deeper into our search. So here I am with these women of Bells Hall, Germany, 50,000 years old cave women. And because I wanted to know, how did we end up on the front of Bazaar, in the front of Elle, looking like this? When these cave women, what has occurred in 50,000 years to get women like we are, you know? So anyway, there's just a lot of ways to explore ourselves and what comes along. It's a beautiful way to enrich in your life. And you start seeing things different. You start noticing. The world becomes more 3D and transparent and open. And it's a wonderful, wonderful way to live.
Thank you. It certainly introduces us to seeing symbolically, and how important it is to develop ourselves that way, so that we can be more intelligent, we can bring more to the table when such important decisions are being made. Did I pass the workbook around? I'll pass both these around if anybody wants to see them. I think that sometimes when I realized that I saw this other image and that it's being passed around the sculpture, that it's like a time bomb, that little sculpture that is being passed around.
Did you say butcher image?
I said it's like a time bomb.
Bomb. Okay.
And then realizing that it was the inside of the atomic bomb. And the fear, that we have of nuclear energy, which is probably going to save us. But at the same time, how do we make friends with it? And so that's why the inside of the piece that I've been passing around is gold luster, because that's my hope. We're at another point of becoming conscious again. We were at the time that the bomb went off. We were at the time of Guernica. We were at the time of the Holocaust. These things happen, and we get an opportunity to become conscious. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Now it's happening again. Any other comments or questions about the exhibit? Yes.
I'm not a student of yours, as you well know, but I am through Jan, because
Okay.
she brings home a lot of the ideas and things. But this idea of the individual unconscious versus the group unconscious
Yes.
is fascinating to me. And if you, as you showed with your hands, a funnel-like thing, and you've got these bazillion individuals going down into the group, when the one overwhelms the other, as we're having right now,
Yes.
there becomes almost a sense of futility about it. That it's too big for me to do anything. Of course, that then translates into the political realm. So, how do you deal with that, or how do you, can you comment on that, about this overwhelming sense that I think a lot of us have right now?
Thank you. I think you put it really well. That how can the individual matter? How can a sculpture or a poem, you know, how does this matter? And that's where faith, just faith in it. History shows me that it matters because I see it in the arts, that it's always predicted, it always shows what's going to happen, and that we can do something about that. We can feed that imbalance, and the belief that the collective is always looking for balance. The universe is always looking for balance, and it doesn't have a consciousness. It has a balance. It's whether